Ironman. The very name conjures up an image of sheer toughness. Many consider this to be the most arduous and demanding competitive sporting event in the world. The event began in Hawaii, and the first place to embrace the Ironman concept outside the US was New Zealand. And for 10 years, the home of Ironman New Zealand has been Taupo. As the first fingers of dawn lit the sky above the lake on Saturday morning, nearly 1,200 athletes from all over the world were already getting their equipment and supplies ready. What sets Ironman apart is that the athletes are not all professionals, at least not professional athletes. You might well find professional lawyers, accountants, teachers, engineers, because Ironman is one of the few major sports where amateurs really can take on the pros at their own game. These men and women have worked out how much energy they're going to expend in the next day or so, and they've calculated exactly how much food and fluid they need to supply it. They've tweaked their bikes to near perfection. They've got the wetsuits and swim gear they believe will make them competitive. Their running shoes are the best they can afford. But at the end it comes down to one thing: themselves. It's not about equipment or about beating other people or about conditions. These athletes are setting out to prove to themselves that they really are Ironmen. Jane Paterson is the race director in Taupo.
I've been running the event for 10 years. I've been to a number of events, Ironman races around the world, and so I've seen them. But look, I think I know the athlete, the mind of the athlete now, and it's about determination. It's about, look, they're just the most single-minded, very, very focused people, and I think it is just such a hard goal that therein lies the motivation to train for it and get to the finish line. Then once you've got to the finish line, that enormous sense of, wow, I did it, and what a great year did I have, or what fun did I have on the day, and then becomes the motivation to come back.
As the athletes and their supporters head down to the start at the lakeside, a waka glides silently across the water. On the shore, the excitement builds as a Māori challenge echoes out of the semi-darkness. There are some tears as athletes say goodbye to their friends and families. They won't see them again till they've proved whether or not they're made of iron. The word family is on everyone's lips. Husbands, wives, mums, dads, brothers and sisters are all taking part. But there's a bigger family here, the family of Ironman. Veteran Ironman commentator Mike Reilly.
Even though people sometimes take Ironman in a cavalier type of way because they set a goal for themselves, they want to do an Ironman. When they're in the race, when they're hearing spectators scream at them and yell for them, when they come through the finish line, when they experience it afterwards, all of a sudden they realize, oh my gosh, this is now part of my fabric. It's not something I did, it's now part of my fabric. And there's not many sports in the world, whether it's rugby or Australian rules or Major League baseball in the States, that happens to someone who's part of it. At Ironman racing, it happens to you. It becomes part of your fabric. It becomes part of your being. And they even admit it afterwards. Mike, you were right. This is now part of me. Even if I don't do another one, this will always be a big part of me.
The competitors pass through a timing gate which registers their presence electronically. There's now no going back. A flaming red sky warns of later rain to come as the athletes step into the water. They wait, some floating, some standing, as the time ticks by. 3.8 kilometres of swimming, 180 kilometres of cycling, and a full marathon of 42.2 kilometres lies ahead. On the shore, the crowd strain to watch the distant line of swimmers as they head out across the lake. The swimmers themselves sometimes describe it as a washing machine, as the water is churned by thrashing arms and legs. Swimmers can get into trouble if they're inadvertently punched or knocked by another competitor. But for the lead swimmer, in this case Kiwi star KIERAN DOE, it's smooth water as he glides back towards the beach at the point of an arrow made by his fellow competitors. DOE arrives first out of the water and runs past cheering crowds as he heads up towards the first transition area. The race favourite is Cameron Brown, who's some way behind DOE, but DOE's very strong on the swim and the bike, while Brown has historically beaten everyone on the run segment of the race. As the age groupers start to come in, families shout their names in excitement. Swimmers run through the crowd but face a steep incline and a flight of steps to get to transition. Transition from swim to bike involves stripping off the wetsuit and getting into bike shoes, then running the bike onto the road. You're not allowed to actually get on and ride until you're out of transition. Fast transitions can make the difference between a good race and a bad one. It's not just the actual time it takes to get you to switch from one discipline to the next, but the psychological challenge of getting a good start into the segment. The rain starts to fall as the lead riders get into their stride out on the course. The course takes them from Taupo out to Raporoa and back, and then the journey is repeated. The media and the spectators may prefer a bright sunny day, but for the athletes, the rain is a welcome coolant. It's not raining as hard as some of the forecasts were predicting, but a gusty wind makes it hard. As the cyclists, pros and age groupers alike, power through Taupo town centre, hundreds of spectators brave the rain to cheer them on. KIERAN DOE hangs on to his lead, but Cameron Brown, his biggest threat, is on his tail. The run-to-bike transition is near the lakeside. Again, competitors switch disciplines as they prepare for a full marathon. They slip off their bike shoes and get into their trainers and set off by the lakeside for another 42.2 kilometres. The female favourite, Jo Lawn, is in the lead, but while the bike is her strength, Kate Bevilacqua from Australia is a very fast runner and challenges her strongly in the run. And it's on the run that Cameron Brown finally takes the lead from KIERAN DOE. And as the rain sets in, an eager crowd is waiting for them back at the finish. Cameron Brown finishes first. His wife and sons are waiting for him at the finish line. KIERAN DOE is third. Brown afterwards says he's pleased.
No, I felt really, it was just a great day. I felt really in control. It's been a great build-up. And yeah, sort of nothing went wrong out there the whole day. Just everything went real smoothly.
DOE is obviously disappointed that he's been pipped again.
I really struggled to find rhythm on the first lap of the bike. The whole plan was to push the second 90 a lot harder, but it wasn't until that last 40k that I actually started to feel I found my cycling legs. I was 7 minutes. I wanted more than that, obviously. Yeah.
Brown admits a sport like professional Ironman can be tough on families.
That's one thing I hate about the sport is, we all get tired and you come home and, the good thing is, you got two little kids that, want to jump all over you, but you're a grumpy dad. But now, it's all about them, so I can enjoy it.
Meanwhile, out in the rain, Jo Lawn has fought off the challenge of Kate Bevilacqua and is coming home to an ecstatic crowd and a new course record.
I didn't get to enjoy the finish line at all because I saw the record. I'm like, you don't know how many of these I'm ever going to get and the opportunity to break the record. And I probably would have kicked myself if I'd, gone down the finishing line as usual. I can go back tonight and enjoy, the finish with everyone. So, that's special too. That's very special.
And that's what sets Ironman apart. Many of the athletes who finish come back later on to cheer the age groupers home. They know better than anyone how each of those people running has made a huge sacrifice to get to that finish line. They join the families who've been part of the team behind the Ironman. As rain continues to fall, the crowd shows no sign of thinning. If anything, more people arrive to hear Mike Reilly tell another athlete that they too have become an Ironman. Nzone Tonight, Annette Lee crosses the finish line into the arms of her family and is taken off, as are all the athletes, for a medical check, a massage if needed, and something to eat and drink. Outside the tent, more athletes are cheered home. Each one has climbed his own personal Everest, found reserves within them they didn't know they had, and proved they have what it takes to be an Ironman. Alan Lee, Nzone Tonight.